At one point, he was way back there, and Brent, I don't know if you saw it in the video, but he told him, he basically pointed to Dave and he said, go up front. And then that's when Dave went up front and he did a solo there. But he wouldn't have done that like in the front unless Brent had asked him to do that.
Welcome back to Foo's Files, the podcast for fans of the Foo Fighters. I hope you're all having a great week. Some of you may have noticed I am a little bit later than normal with this week's episode, as I've just got back from my travels. I've had a really brilliant 5 days in the New Jersey, New York area, visited a friend, went to check out some cool spots. I also went to the Oasis show at MetLife Stadium on Sunday, which was just amazing. And another really cool thing I got to do with a slight Foo Fighters link was visit the Transparent Clinch Gallery in Asbury Park, New Jersey, which is, of course, the famous rock photographer Danny Clinch's gallery. It's only a small place, but it really is a who's who of rock and roll in terms of the people he's photographed. And there was one really cool Foo Fighters piece in there, right by the entrance, which was a big, wide, black and white photo of Dave at Slane Castle in Ireland on stage in 2003, which it's quite a famous picture actually, but it really hit you as you walk through the door. And then in one corner of the studio, there are also some drums and guitars set up, one of which looked just like a DG335 Epiphone signature model. So that was cool too. I did miss a bit of Foo Fighters news while I was away, actually. Firstly, they've added another Mexico date. They were already due to play Mexico City on the 14th of November as part of the Corona Capital sessions, but they've now also added Monterrey on the 12th, where they'll be joined by Queens of the Stone Age and Jenny Beth. Then the other piece of news, which leads us nicely onto this week's episode, is that Dave was among a number of special guests to join Chevy Metal on Sunday night during their set at the Canyon in Agoura Hills, California, which was a benefit for the Eastwood Ranch Animal Rescue that takes place every year. And he got up to perform Beef Bologna by the band Fear, with Fear's original member Ving also joining in too. And it looked like one of those really fun nights. So we've got a special guest this week who was there to see it all, and that's Foo Fighters fan Jill Pandora. So here she is to tell us all about it. Jill, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
You're still on a bit of a high from Sunday's show?
Oh, yes. I couldn't sleep that night. I had like 3 hours of sleep. I kept looking at my videos and texting with my friends that were there with me that night. So yeah, pretty much on a high.
Great. And looking at your pictures and your videos on Instagram too, you couldn't really have asked for a better view, could you? You're literally right on the front row.
Yeah. So I've been to lots of Chevy Metal shows like over the past 2 years, and we always think Dave's gonna show up every single time. There's been rumors that he's been there at certain shows, and then that never happened. So usually we try and get in the center or like on Wiley's side, but this time we were on Brent's side, like right in front of Brent on the left side. So it worked out perfectly. We're on the right side.
Awesome. So first of all, for those who aren't aware of the canyon where the show took place, can you just set the scene for us and tell us what it's like there, what the type of venue it is, and just what the general vibe was like?
Sure. Okay, so it's the Canyon Club, which is in Agoura Hills, which is a little bit further than Los Angeles. I've been there. This is the third time I've been there. They've had this is a third annual show that they did for the rescue of animals. So They do it once every year. It's in the valley, which is super hot. So that venue, it's really cool inside, but it's super hot. And so there's always complaining that there's no air conditioning and people pass out there. It's crazy. So it's a beautiful venue, but super hot inside. Even every single artist that was on stage, like Sebastian Bach was there, he mentioned it was hot as balls. And the Alive played, and they also mentioned it was hot. So I can imagine being on stage playing instruments, how hot it was. So in the audience, yeah, it was super hot, but it's a really great venue.
Yeah, what capacity are we talking? What kind of numbers?
I feel like maybe two or 300. Um, the first time I went, because it was the first annual when Shane did his first show, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, it was sold out. So it was just wall to wall people. This time it wasn't sold out, which was better because people were more a little spread out a little bit. So it's pretty small. And the stage is kind of elevated a little bit. And then on each side of the stage, they have backstage. So you could see people kind of milling about on both sides of the stage. That's how big it is, because it's basically a concert venue.
Yeah, sure. You mentioned about Dave, and you've always been hoping for him to show up and do a Chevy Metal show. When did you first get an inkling that he was going to be there? I know you're kind of expecting a few special guests for this because it's a benefit show, but when was your first inkling that you might see Dave?
So there was one of the ladies that was standing with us. Her daughter was actually works at the Canyon Club. She does, I guess, does concerts. And she was actually Taylor's next door neighbor too. And she shared some pictures with us of Taylor and her when they would have like Halloween parties. And so we got to see some personal photos of hers. So she was the first one who mentioned it, said, "Well, Dave's here." And then a couple of the photographers that were there that were backstage, they also then started confirming it. And then I had friends who were there that actually were not standing near me. They were more like out in the crowd. And one of my friends texted me and she's like, "I just saw Dave behind the curtain." So there's like curtains to where the actual green room is. And so people were seeing him through those curtains. So, oh, and then there were pictures going around too. People had pictures. So people were like posting pictures. It was, yeah, it was confirmed for sure before he even stepped out on the stage. We just didn't know what capacity was he gonna be drumming? Was he gonna be playing? Would he come out for more than one song? Like, we just didn't know.
So I guess it raised the excitement levels quite a bit.
Oh yeah, my heart was pounding, and I was actually kind of afraid that once he came out that people were gonna rush like forward and trying to get close. But actually that didn't happen. Everybody pretty much respected where they were standing because that's what I was afraid of, was that people were gonna try and get up to the front.
Yeah, sure.
So that
And
was
he,
nice they didn't do that.
yeah, absolutely, yeah. And so he came out quite early in the show, didn't he? So do you want to tell us a bit about that moment from your point of view, from where you were stood?
Okay, so I was standing in front of Brent and I could see the set list. So everybody takes a picture of the set list, right? And they start sending it around. So he came out for the third song, which is Beef Bologna, which was with I've seen Leaving from Fear like probably 4 or 5 times now with Chevy Metal. So I knew he was there because I actually got a picture with him the last time we saw him a couple weeks ago. So I knew he was coming in and he's older, right? So he always likes to go early because I don't think he stays the whole time, right? He does his thing and then he leaves. Um, I was really surprised that he came out for that song. Um, but yeah, he came out early, so it was basically the third song. I actually got the set list afterwards too. So when he came out, he basically had his blue guitar, his blue Gibson, and everybody was, screaming. And I grabbed my friend who was to the right of me, Tina, and I just like grabbed onto her hand and was like, we just like were grasping each other's hand for like a minute during the song. It was like my heart was pounding. And then I don't know if you heard, but I screamed a little bit in the video, which I wish I could like take that out, but I'm really not good at editing. So my screams are in there as well in the video.
I think we can allow that when you're that close to Dave Grohl, to be honest with you. So,
Yeah, I probably could have reached out and touched him. That's how close he was, but of course I would never do that.
no, of course, yeah. Um, I mean, he got really into it, but I guess he was in his own little world, wasn't he? Because he kind of took a bit of a back seat in a way, didn't he? The way that he got into the song, but still with the typical Dave enthusiasm when he's performing.
Yeah, for sure. So, he was like more towards the back. I feel like he kind of wanted to stay near Shane, because they were, making eye contact and stuff. And then at one point he was way back there and Brent, I don't know if you saw it in the video, but he basically pointed to Dave and he said, "Go up front." And then that's when Dave went up front and he did a solo there. But he wouldn't have done that like in the front unless Brent had asked him to do that. So I thought that was kind of funny because he just kind of was hanging back like towards Shane. He didn't sing with Lee or why well, he got near Wiley, but he didn't sing. So the whole time he sang was within Brent's microphone, which was right in front of us. So we got super lucky because really he could have sang it with anybody, right? If he would have sang with Lee, he would have been in the middle, not even close to us. So we got super lucky.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, yeah, I guess it was all over pretty quickly in terms of Dave's performance. So, like, what was the reception like? I know you said there was a lot of sort of applauding. You thought you were worried people were going to sort of rush forward, but yeah, it must have been quite electric in there for that 3 or 4 minutes or whatever it was.
Yes. So what happened is we all didn't know maybe he would come out again, right, to do some drumming, which would have been great. So everybody was kind of like, is he gonna, because there was so much show left. Um, like they weren't, like I said, only on their third song. So we thought, oh, is he going to come out? Which he didn't, which was fine. There was a lot of other musical guests there. So everyone in the crowd was saying, oh, he's done. He's gone. He's one and done. He just wanted to come in and get his bit over and then leave. So after the show ended, um, a lot of people were just hanging around, and my friend and I were so thirsty. So we sat down on some chairs and we're drinking some water, and we were watching the video, and all of a sudden she's like, "Hey, Dave, what's going on?" And I looked at her and I was like, "Who are you talking to?" He was literally walking by her and he's like, "Hey there," and he like actually patted her on top of her head. So at that point, I was like, "Dave," but I think he was on his way out and he had like 50 people following him. And I just didn't feel like being that person that like, I mean, I know I just felt bad because he had so many people following behind him. And I think he was trying to leave at that point because he was going towards the door. So he definitely was still there at far after the end of the show. Um, I did see a lot of people got pictures with him outside the venue, like in the parking lot after the show. But I just figured it wasn't my time to meet him yet, and I'm positive that I will eventually. So I just didn't want to force it. So we just kind of hung back. I thought he's a busy man, so I thought he'd be gone, but no, he definitely hung out the whole entire time. I mean, there was a lot of pictures of him with other people in the green room, other musicians and everything.
Yeah, it seems when he does stuff like this and it's for a cause and he wants it to keep it that way, that it's about the cause that they're there for and not about him. And he always seems very conscious about doing that. So that's probably why he kind of slipped in to do his song, went off stage,
Yeah.
and then kind of tried to keep a bit of a low profile, I guess. So
Yeah, because I'm sure he's got cats and dogs, so he's probably an animal lover like everybody else, and he just wanted to um, be there. Oh, and there was also a guitar that all the musicians signed this guitar that they auctioned off. Brent was auctioning it off, and he's like, "Yes, even Dave Grohl signed the guitar." So, oh, that was nice. They auctioned off the guitar and sold it for I don't know if it was $13,000. So it was definitely for a good cause. And I actually have been to Violet's shows twice, which was in Hollywood a couple years ago. She did her own event, and Dave was there and with his wife and the kids. And he was super, like, he performed, he did some Nirvana songs, and we were up close. We were in the second little table next to him, but nobody really approached him because it was all about Violet. And he even said that, like, when people would come up to him, he would kind of like shut them down because he's like, this isn't about me. So I know what everybody says about Dave, but I've seen in person, like, the way he is, caring for his family and stuff. So he's a
Yeah,
good guy.
yeah, sure, absolutely. What about Shane Hawkins then? Because as Foo Fighters fans, we've all seen like glimpses of what he can do, but blimey, yeah, he can really play, can't he? Both as a drummer and like we're starting to see him up front a bit more as well, doing vocals just like his dad.
Right. So the first time I saw Shane, I went to the tribute concert in Los Angeles. So that was the first time I saw him play the drums, and he was amazing there, as we all saw. But I mean, like I said, I've seen Chevy Metal probably, I don't know, maybe 15 times in the last 2 years, and seen like him improve. Like each time it's like, wow. Obviously he's growing up and getting more mature and stuff, and being a little bit more comfortable talking to people because I think he's a little bit shy. But yeah, that first time, about, I guess it was at the beginning of August, I was at another show, and all of a sudden he grabbed the mic and I was like, what's going on? He's never sung before. So that first show that I saw him sing that same song, and he actually had a cell phone too because he I wasn't sure I don't think he knew all the words. So that was crazy the first time I saw him sing. I was like, wow. And then I saw him the next night at a different show, and he played it again. And then this last time, obviously at that show, I feel like um the other night he was more like kind of just running around. I don't know if you saw where he pushed Scott Ian, which I was like, whoa, because he was just doing the whole punk rock thing, right? Um, he wasn't singing as much last time. He was just kind of going around. So I just hope that he's able to, like, you know, I guess learn the words and be able to sing. But I loved it. I mean, he has the punk rock vibe, and he just looked just like Taylor. His moves.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Any other highlights from the show then the other night? Because it was a pretty star-studded lineup. You got the likes of Gene Simmons and Elliot Easton and Greg Bissonette and Scott Ian, as you mentioned. So, any other things that stood out for you?
So those are oftentimes the same guests, which is great, right? The other highlight for me was when Scott Ian was on stage with his son Revel, who plays multiple instruments. He plays the guitar and he also plays the drums. And then his wife is a singer as well. Her name's Pearl, and her dad is Meatloaf. And so she came up, and so they sang an Aussie song. And that was kind of cool because I like the heavier stuff, and it was nice to see them as a family, like, playing. They've always played Aussie songs, or one, I should say. Now they're throwing in a lot more Aussie songs since he passed away. So I think that's really cool to honor him that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it just sounded like one of those great nights, all in all.
Yeah, it was quite amazing. I mean, everything happens for a reason. I feel like we were blessed that night because we were so close and got to see him a little bit afterwards. And I told my friend she can never wash her hair again, but I don't think she's going to go for that. I was like, he patted you on the head. That's so sweet.
Thanks to Jill for sharing her experience of what sounded like a great night, and thank you for listening to Foos Files. If you're enjoying the show, please remember to leave us a 5-star rating wherever you get your podcasts. Take care, and I'll try to be a little more on time with next week's episode.